This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Alongside my old friend Stephen Simcox, one of my many proteges. I have lots of proteges. I've been in this business a long time. Garrett's a protege. Jack, I'd like to think, is a protege, even though he may not want to admit it. Our producer now. I've had a lot of radio stations. I think J.D. Piquel, one of my proteges, I'm going to call that one. He's doing very well in this space, better than I am all of a sudden, but I'm still calling it on that one. But Stephen, you and I worked together at the radio station for a very long time, started as an intern. Now you're locked on TCU and doing that. So I thought, what better person to come on the week after Dion and TCU than Stephen Simcox? And you know the Horned Frogs very well. We'll talk about it from their perspective in a second. But early on, you got to witness the Dion hype train, which has now been thrown into full-on hyperdrive.
Yes.
I mean, it is absolutely, the Kessel Run of things where he's going to be the number one topic in college football all year long. Absolutely. And for good reason, but and I don't want to put too much into that game, but it was a super impressive debut that he had. And now, because now it's all about clicks and page views, and he is Mr. Clicks and Page Views.
No, it is. I'm really happy to be part of the Paul Catalina coaching tree. It's one of my, I put it on my resume. It's one of the things I love about, my life. But yeah, Dion it's incredible what he's done. And it's funny because you're totally right. He is the topic. He is the conversation. And I can't really think, we've had college coaches that transcend their team, like Nick Saban, right? Obviously. Alabama has a long storied history, but people think about Nick Saban when they think about Alabama football now. But it's very different because when they think about Nick Saban, it's like, here's a guy who might murder somebody if he sees a false start on 3rd and 5. And that's not really Dion's vibe. Like, he's very, he's out there about, I'm trying to promote my guys. We're really open about getting our dudes opportunities, NIL. We have a lot of swagger. We're going to let people be themselves. But I think the thing that surprised me the most, that was a well-coached football team that played TCU on Saturday. There weren't a lot of pre-snap penalties. They turned the ball over once, but they played a clean football game. And so it's not just the flash and, all the kind of hype that he brings. There's obviously a lot of substance there too. And I feel like my view before the game was like, okay, Dion's like a CEO, right? Like, he's a talent acquisition guy. He's going to bring in a lot of dudes that can play. And obviously he had some organizational traits because the Jackson State tenure wasn't just a complete disaster. They did really well, but I thought there would be a leap up from that to what he was doing at Colorado. But he hit the ground running, and now you have to sustain it. But man, it's fun. I can't even really compare it to someone. I guess Lane Kiffin maybe, but Lane's kind of goofy, and he's just leaned into the fact of being like a fun uncle. And Dion's not. That's not what you get from Dion.
No, he's about developing stars.
Yes,
he's about because he is a star,
and he takes it seriously. This is not like a joke to him.
No, it's not. And the fact that people told him, a guy who, and we talked about this on the Monday show with Chris, they told a guy who was a Hall of Famer in one sport and a professional in another sport and a good baseball player. He was a good, you would have wanted Dion on your team.
Right.
You're not built, he's not Acuna or anything, but you would have wanted him on your team for sure. He was a good 5.5 WAR in his baseball career. So that's not bad.
Did you just pull that off your head right now?
I've been looking it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I looked at it today.
You could have said yes. I wouldn't have pressed you, but that's okay.
5.5 WAR for Dion. So that's a guy the guy's got, 5.5 wins above replacement baseball. That's a guy you want on your team. He's better than the guy who's going to be there. So this is a guy who's done things in sports and business that, we're not done before, right? And there's not many people like him. And then when he decided he wanted to be a coach, everyone's like, well, you haven't done that before. Well, everybody's not done something before they do it.
That's true. Welcome to philosophy with Paul Catalina.
Yeah. I used to do the radio show with Butch Henry, and we used to do a thing, this is pre-Smokey, where we had the Butch Henry Country Bump of the Day, where we'd play a country song coming out, and he would grade the song. And so this album came out called Last of the Breed, which was Willie Nelson, Ray Price, and Merle Haggard. And it had some bangers on it, but they were all new songs. And this song hit every single thing he said. It had a steel guitar. It had like all, a fiddle, all this stuff in the first few bars. And I was like, oh, he's going to love this. It's like, no, zero. Never heard it before. I was like, well, Butch, every song that you've ever heard, you hadn't heard it before, you heard it the first time.
You have to hear it the first time.
Like the first time you heard Chattahoochee, you didn't know that Chattahoochee existed. It wasn't in the ether as like part of your soul. And then you heard it and you felt you knew it the whole time. You heard the song. So everybody's not done something before. And thank you, Siri.
See? Yeah. Siri knows. She knows this. She knows this is true.
Yeah, she knows it's
the first time you've never heard this.
Yeah. But in Deion's case, this is a guy who is uniquely built for this era. And I think without the transfer portal, and particularly without NIL, he would still be good at this because he would figure it out, but he would not maybe be enjoying it as much because he'd be hitting the wall on what he would have as philosophical differences with the NCAA.
Right.
Which are, look, he was like, nobody's under the impression that he was not getting paid at Florida State under the table. Nobody's under the impression that he doesn't believe in building your brand and all of that. And so he's embraced all that. Now, had the rules not changed, maybe Deion, says he wants to be an NFL. I'm just going to go right to the NFL, which I do think is going to happen for Deion eventually. I think that he's going to.
Do you think he just wants to follow Shadur around, or do you feel like he?
No, I think he'll also he'll want to prove that he can do it
at the next level.
Yeah, without having to make the players himself.
Okay.
You have to wait at least 17 years when you do that. It's not an efficient recruiting pipeline. Just go make one. But I think he'll want to prove that. I think he wants to show, and he'll probably want to show you can do it at a couple places. But the thing is that if the NFL calls, if they're like, hey, we need this, and he's going to have an owner that just does not want to be in the way.
Right.
Like he and Jerry are great friends. He would never work for Jerry.
Oh,
because, again, Mike McCarthy's the perfect kind of Jerry coach. And if they stumble into a Super Bowl with Mike McCarthy, it's kind of just because Mike knows exactly how to navigate that.
Would the media just explode if we had Jerry, Deion, and the Cowboys all converge? Like, that feels like, I don't know how First Take would deal with that. I think that's their ultimate dream, is just having all three of those brands meld into one thing. But no, you're right. The press conferences would be amazing, but they wouldn't work together well.
Yeah, so Deion has to be in a place, again, Rick George has decided, hey, the best way to save this athletic department going forward is to let me be the administrator and let him be the superstar. Right. And I'm not, Rick George doesn't have to get in his way. Just make sure we have enough money. That's all that he needs to do. And, going to the Big 12 is probably a huge Deion thing. Nobody's really kind of confirmed that. He's obviously commented on it, but all these things are going to be, on the Deion hype train. Now, outside of that, this is a team that can score points. They have not proven that they can stop anybody yet. We'll see against Nebraska this week how that changes, because the difference in offense between TCU and Nebraska is going to be pretty stark. But even still, this is something we have not seen before. And I do think it's only because we're in this era of NIL transfer portal. Deion is the perfect guy for that, because he does not have to go, well, all right, we won't pay anybody. Make sure that these kids only get books and sandwiches.
Wink, wink, right?
It would be, look, he got Des Bryant suspended, which is even stupider now, not from Deion's perspective, from the NCAA's perspective, that Des Bryant got suspended for the last part of his last year at Oklahoma State just because he had lunch with Deion and an agent, talking about something that they knew he was going to do. The NCAA knew. Des Bryant's got 8 more games left as a college athlete, and he's going to leave. Would it make sense for him to talk to one of those guys and a guy who knows these things before he makes that decision 3 months from now.
Yeah.
Like, it's only kind of a smart thing to do. And now it just looks bad. So, like those things I think would have been tough for him to navigate, but now, shoot.
You're totally right about the timing. Because yes, and I think still like in our minds, and it was hard for me to get over this, which is weird because I just watched TCU do it. Like they had a team that was 5-7, they were dead in the water, and they had a coach in Gary Patterson who frankly just didn't embrace this new world of college football. He didn't necessarily want to be a part of it in the head coaching role, at least, in managing all these things. And so Sonny Dykes comes in, he brings in a lot of transfers. It wasn't Deion, guys. Like I don't think the national media was like, oh wow, you just picked up Mark Perry from Colorado, the safety. Like let's hunker down on that. But still, he flipped that roster over. They have an incredible run. But in your mind, you're just conventional wisdom tells you, okay, this is going to take time to build this. But we're seeing with more and more teams now, if you just get the talent there and you have like some structure and you let guys make plays, we'll see what the ceiling is for Colorado, but they're obviously much more improved than they were. And it looks like a team that can make some noise in the Pac-12. I also think he definitely wants to be in the Big 12. Deion doesn't want to be on the Pac-12 network. He doesn't, that's too small for him. I'm not even sure Deion wants to be on ESPN Plus. That might be something he has to work out with Brett Yormark. Yeah. He might put those games on Prime Media himself or something like that. But yeah, it's the perfect time. And I think even when we talk about him in the NFL, he's sort of in a better situation from acquiring talent now because he doesn't have to deal with contracts. He doesn't have to deal with like timelines. Mm-hmm. He can't just call up Stephon Diggs and be like, hey, come on home. Maybe he'd be like the perfect NBA coach because he could just tamper with people and get them to request trades and that kind of thing. But he's got so much freedom of movement with the players now that they can get there immediately. In most cases, they're eligible to play right away. And yeah, it's the perfect time to do it. And because he's not like staunch in his ideas of the past, like it's not taking him much to break out of the mold and do this because he's just by his own self, he's an innovator, right? Like he's always done things a different way. So he's killing it right now. And until we'll see what happens, like when they hit some adversity, but until they lose a game, you really can't say enough about what he's done there.
Well, and I think they're like, I don't think this is a college football playoff team.
No,
I think that they've proven that they're going to win some games. Mm-hmm. And they got Oregon and USC coming up really soon. That's going to be tough. Like those are going to be shootouts. They've proven they can win a game 45-42.
Yeah.
That like you don't really want to, if you want to win the college, if you want to be in the playoff and win conferences, you can't really bank on winning every game 45-42.
But it's a fun brand of football.
And Deion knows that. Deion knows that. And look, he's made some really good hires. Sean Lewis, great hire. Mm-hmm. That was a great hire. I'm a little bit out on Charles Kelly. I'm a little biased because he had a tenure at Florida State where he was not what you would call good.
What would you call it, Paul?
I would call it bad.
Okay.
I would say, and it's the weirdest thing. It was first down, second down, just mauling people on defense. And you saw this the other day. It could be third down and anything. And Colorado was getting it. For some reason, third down.
There's just a mental block there or some disconnect.
Like Derek Zoolander can't turn left. that
was a third down hill for them to climb.
That's it. He just couldn't turn left. But I mean, again, he's been with Saban. Now he's with Deion. Mm-hmm. I'm sure he's better than he was then. And he was also with Jimbo Fisher, who, that was the first wave of coaches being like, hey, he hasn't changed any of this. If you watch the film from last year and the film from this year, it's the same. He's might as well just yell in the plays like, we're going to run 32 trap. 32 trap? We ran it last week against Duke, third quarter.
It was on clip. Yeah, it was on this clip, this specific clip.
You guys saw it.
You see that one?
This is the hand signal we make when we're going to run it. Just so you know. But, yeah, I think he's made some really good hires. He's been really, when he was at Jackson State, he brought in guys like Mike Zimmer and a bunch of guys he knew weren't going to need money to help him do that. But also, as much as he is so bravado, don't think that he hasn't learned from all these guys. Mickey Andrews, his defensive coordinator at Florida State, helped him out tremendously. Mike Zimmer, all the guys he had at Jackson State that he brought in from the NFL. He's not just sitting there going like, okay, he's here. He's sitting in those rooms and going, okay, I learned this from Mike Zimmer. I learned from this guy. You know what? I need to run an offense that's going to score a lot of points. Who I'm going to call? I'm going to get the head coach from Kent State to come in here and be my offensive coordinator. Now, that might last for a year because somebody's going to call up Sean Lewis and be like, hey,
what's your price?
Please bring that here. But it was a really bold career move for Sean Lewis because you run the risk of being forgotten about underneath there, and you were already a head coach. But really interesting what's going on there. Like, maybe 1-2 years, I think, before somebody's like, well, be a head coach again. Come on.
Yeah, get back to it.
Get back to it.
Can I ask you about Travis Hunter for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that was amazing to watch. I knew he was good. My perspective on it, though, before the game was like, okay, well, surely he's not going to play all the snaps on both sides of the ball. But then suddenly, it was like I was watching a 2A playoff football game, and like Rashad Paul's out there just making all the plays for Bremond. Like he's single-handedly taking over the game. I know like Woodson, and then, even his coach, Dion, did that at times. But
not that much.
Not that much. Like, can you compare it to anybody that you've seen at this level?
Honestly, I can't, because most of the time when you have that offensive player or defensive player that plays offense, which is mostly that's the case. Right. I think Travis Hunter, you can't really say what is he? Like, he's
just an athlete.
He's just a guy. Like, they're putting him out there. Like with Charles Woodson, he was a cornerback who played wide receiver.
Yes.
And he had a lot of snaps. Like they were getting him out there a lot. But again, that offense wasn't trying to run 100 plays with Lloyd Carr. Right. They're trying to run 70 plays. Like that was their goal. Like they were controlling the clock, and they'd throw Woodson out there and be like, okay, well you can't out athlete number 2. So we're not going to think that you can. So go do that. Plus Woodson was the kick returner as well. So he was out there all the time. So he's the closest thing, but Travis Hunter plays more than he does. Most of the time it's like a guy, he's got a package. He does this.
Yes.
Kind of
gimmicky.
Yeah.
This is not that.
Look, Dion didn't play that much offense at Florida State. Like, they didn't need him to. Yeah. And it was a very different time. He played a little, I don't think that you would, go out there. You look at his offensive stats at Florida State. I think Travis Hunter's probably already beat him. And it was more quality over quantity. And Dion made his bones as the kick returner as well. Like, go ahead and punt it to him.
He'll take it. He'll house it.
Make that life decision and see how it turns out for you. But Travis Hunter is special. I mean, that to go out there and be able to do that. Now, can he do that for 11 more games?
Sure.
Especially given their schedule, they don't have a game where you can go like, well, they can let Travis chill today. Like they really don't. Like even Stanford or whoever, like
he's got to play.
He's got to play. So they've got one of the tougher schedules in the entire country. The Pac-12 is really good this year, but man, he's something that we have. Again, kind of like Ohtani. Like we just don't see it that often, and you can't expect it to be commonplace anymore.
And I think sometimes we think of it in the context of us. So like, I think, well, Travis Hunter surely can't play all these snaps, but I also get winded when I go up the stairs sometimes. So I feel like he's working with a little different skill set than maybe I am. Okay, so you don't have to give me the full answer on this because I know you talked off air about wanting to do something bigger on this subject, but Dion and Florida State, so that relationship is there. And Mike Norvell is doing great right now. So there's no reason to think that this would happen. But in a hypothetical world where there is an opening, and what Dion said, did he say he's no longer a Knoll?
No, he just said he graduated from somewhere else. No, look, a lot of that's bravado because, look, Mickey Andrews helped him get into coaching. If Bobby was still alive, he wouldn't say that and not feel guilty about it. I'm sure he probably even, if he thinks about oh, well, if Coach Bowden heard me say that, he'd be sad. Those things. I mean, that's what he said. I think he feels a little bit slighted because he didn't get that job.
Right.
You also have to take a lot of things that Dion says with a grain of salt because, a lot of it is, again,
just stream of consciousness.
He's just going. Yeah. And that's part of his whole thing, which is what makes it brilliant. But Mike Norvell, and the reason he's gone so hard into the transfer portal, knew that if he does not get Florida State winning to the level that they expect, and winning to the level that Florida State expects is competing for the title,
right?
Not winning the conference, not going 9-3 or 10-2,
not playing the Liberty Bowl.
No, you are playing January 1st or after, or the day like New Year's Eve or after is when you get to play in the postseason.
Yeah,
nothing else. You're not playing December 23rd. No, come on. December 29th, please.
Yeah.
No, that's not what's going to happen. You're playing later. And so he knew he had to accelerate that. And he's been fantastic in the portal because if he had 3 bad years, Dion Sanders, after Florida State told him, go get your degree and go get another head coaching job, they would be begging him. Begging him. They would fight wars. To get him back there.
They would invade Florida University just because. It's not really related, but they just kind of want to do it.
If we're going all out, might as well, No, like they would absolutely. So he knew that. And he knew, like, he probably in the back of his mind, and he's a very confident coach, but in the back of his mind, I'm sure he knows that, like, the minute I mess up, people are going to put Coach Prime signs up in the stands.
Yeah.
When he lost to Jacksonville State, here's one of the things I'm really impressed with Mike Norvell. He lost to Jacksonville State because of a boneheaded decision he and his coaching staff made.
Well, that's a Hail Mary play?
Yeah,
okay.
Where they were in man coverage on the last play of the game.
As long as you play your cousin in NCAA football.
And then he was like, well, we did this because we thought they might have time to go spike the ball. And you're like, so what, man?
Just keep them out in the end zone.
Yeah,
there's one objective here.
Yeah, so just no, like, and then I think he very wisely was like, that was dumb. And like a lot of people can't do that. And he has very well adjusted since then. So I do think that, I don't think it's something he wakes up in the morning and like has a picture of Dion in his mirror and is like, not today, man. Not today.
He's throwing darts at it.
Yeah, not today, Dion. Not today. I'm one step ahead of you.
He's got newspaper clippings.
What Dion's doing and what Mike Norvell are doing, like Dion's even had to go more extreme because he took over a program that was not relevant for a long time. Mike Norvell took over a program that had 4 or 5 bad seasons, not a generation of bad seasons. They're a decade removed from a national championship and only 7 years removed from the last 10-win season. So he did it, like carpet bombed it, as where Mike Norvell's been methodical, but it's the same thing. And it's the same, and we'll talk about this in the third segment about Dabo Swinney, where this may be where the college football world has left him behind a little bit, or not left him behind, or he's chosen to not get on the train. But Dion said, look, I'm going to bring in 80 new players because this is a 1-11 team. I have no reason to do this.
There's no loyalty here.
There's no loyalty here. But but Florida State's done it very methodically of like these transfers, and then using the cachet of like, this place is pretty cool when we win, right? Where'd you rather come? Would you rather go here, or would you rather go,
Yeah.
So
Or do you want to be a legend at Florida State?
Keon Coleman was down to Ole Miss and FSU. Now look, NIL has a huge amount to do with it. And I think it might have been splitting hairs when it came down to dollars and cents. But as cool as Ole Miss might be, what have they done compared to what Florida State can do? And that's the selling point of like, that's a cool place. Great. Would you rather be at Ole Miss, helping Lane try to get the first one, or would you rather restart the dynasty here?
Do you want to finish 4th in the SEC West?
Yeah.
Maybe you get lucky. Maybe you finish 3rd one year. Yeah. Or come to a place where there's a path to getting in to win it all.
One team.
Yeah.
You got to be better than one team.
Yeah. There's one video game boss in this conference that you have to defeat.
Yeah, exactly.
Not 7.
That's a great way to put it. When we come back, I want to talk a little about TCU's perspective. Plus, we're going to get to know Simmy a little bit. Get to know Stephen Simcox. Also, want to throw one more on my coaching tree. Q's on my coaching tree, and he is wildly successful right now. So
he's doing a little bit better than us.
Yes, he is. That's like if I was Bill Walsh, that's me claiming Andy Reid. Yeah. So that's a big one right there.
Yeah. Q and you and Smokey all at your former place of employment. It was kind of like when the Thunder had Harden and Westbrook and Durant on the same place.
Just traded us all away.
They just traded you all away.
Yeah. Just traded us all away. All right. When we come back, we'll talk about TCU, Stephen's alma mater, and we'll get to know Stephen a little bit, which people need to. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
Welcome back to the Triple Option here on 365 Sports. Paul Catalina, my good friend Stephen Simcox. We need to do a Paul and Smokey. We'll allow Smokey in the coaching tree because I'm on his coaching tree.
Okay.
So, we're the same tree, but we need to do that tree one day and see what it's got.
Diagram it on the board.
Yeah, diagram it on the board, see where we've got.
I really appreciated in the break there, producer Jack, you just ask him, that's not his name's not producer Jack. His parents did not name him producer.
Yeah. No.
Producer Jack.
Have you seen my driver's license?
Sorry. Jackson witness protection. I just outed him. But Paul was like, is Steven good or bad? And he said good. And I think you guys should just start doing a series where maybe it's after games, after every college football game, rate this team, and he just says good or bad, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's just a 2-second video.
Yeah. LSU, Jack, good or bad?
Bad.
Yeah. There
See?
we go. TCU, good or bad?
Bad.
Yeah.
He hesitated for a second, but he got there.
Yeah.
That's the kind of decisiveness you want.
There are inflections here. It's more than just good or bad. Come on.
Yeah. So before we get to know you, Stephen, we talked so much about Dion in that segment because we're a new podcast and we've got to get attention.
Yeah. Everybody else is using him.
Yeah.
Why not the triple option?
Come on. I mean, look, am I too proud to say that we might be, riding the wave? Yes. But this whole channel is built on realignment. So I can't.
We all got to have our niche, man.
So anyway, I want your perspective on TCU, which is, again, that's a roster built now out of the transfer portal. Offense, almost completely, really. Chandler Morris is a transfer. The wide receivers are all transfers. And the offense is good. The defense had to deal with Colorado's offense, which was mad at TCU's offensive coordinator.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, apparently that was a big thing.
Yeah, Kendall's kind of hit the bingo card of bad PR for TCU since he got there. Not all his fault, but
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, of all the people you're going to cold shoulder to camp, Deion Sanders kid.
Shadur Sanders seems like a guy you should know.
Yeah, just even if you're not going to offer him or he's not interested, just
shake his hand, say hello.
Just say hello. Coach him up a little bit, give him some tips. Don't give that kid and his extremely famous father any reason to be like, hey,
don't end up in the Shadur Sanders Last Dance documentary that's coming out in a few years because you just couldn't take the time to say hello.
That also started Dion down the path of being mad at his technical alma mater. That was one of the things that fueled
rubbed him the wrong way.
That fueled that more than him not getting the job. Him not getting the job, I think he can probably understand a little bit. They couldn't wait around, the 4 months it was going to take him to finish.
Right.
And then they also said you need a coach because they've got to sell it to the money people. But from TCU's perspective, I'm not worried about their season when it comes to the Big 12, but I do think one of the things last year they were doing really well was clamp down on defense when they had to. I wonder if that is a bigger issue than having a bunch of new players on offense.
Well, people have definitely figured out, and it sort of started in the second half of that Michigan game, that and there's a lot of the same players on this defense, if you isolate these linebackers and safeties in space, it's really hard for them to keep up. And Joe Gillespie, their defense coordinator, is not a guy that brings a lot of pressure. So they have to find a way to address that. I think they'll be okay too. I just wonder they're sort of at a crossroads where it's like, okay, what's the next step? Like, what are they going to be? Are they a team that with everything shifting around them, which a year ago, it felt like they were one of those mini schools that was like, all right, new Big 12, they'll have a chance to be one of the standard bearers, one of the, powers, one of the teams that are just consistently in the mix. But now with everybody else that's been added, it's a little trickier. You talk about Utah and the Arizona schools and all that. But what are expectations like? Because there's an older guard of TCU fans who remember a lot of the lean years, right? And are like, well, if they're a 8-4 football team that occasionally can jump up and make a run like they did last season, that'd be fantastic. And then I think there's some newer fans that are like, well, as long as I've been around, like I've expected at least being in the national conversation. But I think as far as this year goes, yeah, they'll be okay. I feel like the offense is good and it's going to get better. Defensively, surely they can figure some things out just to, stay in games and improve there. But yeah, I mean, I was pretty dumbfounded. Sonny Dykes said after the game that he just didn't think the guys were ready to play, and he thought Colorado was more excited about it. They're more motivated, which I get why Colorado would be excited. It was a huge chance for them on the national stage, and I know Dion had them playing with a lot of confidence. But your last game, you just lost 65-7 in the national championship. You've heard all offseason that you probably were just a fluke and like things are going to regress back to the mean. In the opening game of the season, I understand why, but everybody was talking about Colorado. Like Big Noon Kickoff was there in Fort Worth, and it was a Dion infomercial because of all the attention that he commands. And so, why would you not come out with a chip on your shoulder like, let's rally this group and let's get it done? So I guess the thing is now, how do you respond? Like, because Paul, like things can unravel quickly with the college football team if losses start piling up. So do you get off the mat and like rally together and get this thing moving in the right direction? Or is this a team that maybe just falls below expectations from the beginning? I lean towards the first answer. I think they're going to improve and get better, but it was pretty remarkable that they, just looked completely confused and listless against that Colorado team.
Yeah, and we'll see. The Big 12 is interesting. Okay, here's the coaches you have coming in, and I'm including this year as well. You have Gus Malzahn, who's coached a national title game.
Yes.
And coordinated and won as well. So you have Deion Sanders, and you have Kyle Whittingham. And I'm not even throwing in Kenny Dillingham, who I think is going to be a stud head coach very quickly.
Yeah. Dana's been around Dana Holgorsen's been around forever.
Yeah. Kalani Sitake is a very steady head coach. They're BYU's kind of continue to be BYU no matter where they play. So you've got those guys just coming in and in a conference that's going to be totally wide open, right? And yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I do think like the Big 12 is hoping that Dion stays a really long time and becomes a staple in the league. I don't think that you can plan on it because again, like who's to say that there's a bigger school that's not going to say like, please come do that here.
Right. I mean, you would imagine like whatever SEC opening it is soon that is available, they'd have heavy interest in him.
Here's the deal. I just hope that he's not mad enough at his alma mater to do something that would just truly disgust me.
Oh, yeah. Him in the blue and orange would be pretty rough.
It would be hard for me to deal with.
I know. But he also, he doesn't seem like somebody who's just like Dion doesn't seem like the type of guy that would be like, no, I could never do that. No, I think if everything lined up right, he would be like, oh, yeah, let's go.
Yeah. This is a dude who has one of his own quotes on the wall behind him for Zoom interviews. You seen that? Like he's doing Zooms this week.
Is that bad? I do that too. Is that why I'm not?
Yeah.
Is that why I'm not getting opportunities?
But it's not like there's not like a Teddy Roosevelt or like Martin Luther King quote or anything behind him. It's his own quote.
Deion Sanders.
Yeah, you look good, you play good, they pay good. Like that's his quote.
That's a good quote.
It's a great quote.
I got to give it to him.
And that's all about branding. Mm-hmm. But again,
It doesn't make you look like the most humble person in the world.
Look, if I just put behind me, if it feels good, do it, and if it do good, feel it. You'd be like,
I think that would really enhance the show. Yeah. Right next to the Hawaii pennant right there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm gonna start I would make sure I get good quotes and be like, put that might go on the wall behind us. That's what we're gonna do. Quotes, things I say often and believe in truly.
Yeah, just have Garrett start writing things down for you.
But days will change the world.
Write that down. Write that down.
Write it down. Yeah, that's what I need to do. But yeah, has its own thing behind it. So it's a little bit different. All right, we're gonna get to know you, Stephen. Here,
I love this.
Still try to find the proper highway of this segment, but we're gonna keep doing it because I think it's fun. It entertains me. And so
that's all that matters.
It's my podcast. So
it entertains me. Write that down, Garrett. That's a good quote to have.
Another one for the wall. It entertains me. It's my podcast. There's another one. So I want to get to know you a deeper level, not who you are, what you do. That's platitudes.
Right.
This is real hard-hitting stuff.
This is like inside the actor studio, last segment.
Exactly.
That's a pretty
Maybe
niche.
I need to get a stack of blue cards and just rip off that bit.
Yeah, not sure all the college football people are getting that reference, but we'll roll with it.
Look, James Lipton's dead. He can't stop me. So,
is the James Lipton estate watching a lot of college football podcasts?
I don't know. Okay. Which college football player do you wish had infinite eligibility?
Oh, man, what a great question. Well, the first one that popped in my head is not a great person, so I think I'll skip that guy.
Okay.
I'll say it's recency bias, but I'll say Max Duggan.
Okay, look. Transformative player for TCU.
He was.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes you get caught up in the cliche stuff and all the lunch pail
but it's true.
Sort of words. But it was true with him. Yeah. I mean, he did look like a person that might literally give up his life for the team.
The only reason they didn't beat Kansas State, in my opinion, last year was because he was just too tired.
He was just exhausted.
And they needed that 1% more that he was totally willing to give, but physically didn't have it in that moment, because that's what was working in that moment. If it was just hurl the ball up to Quentin Johnston, then that's a different thing. But that was what was working in that moment. So
well, and even his first few years of his career, when it seemed like the offensive staff's job was just, how can we limit him the most? Yeah. It seems like that was what they were trying to do.
I think part of that was because he was very immature. Yeah. Emotionally immature. He would let his emotions get the best of him because he was such a fiery dude. Mm-hmm. And then it didn't help that the head coach is also someone whose biggest weakness is letting his emotions get the best of him. So when Gary Patterson tells you look, man, you got to chill out, it falls on deaf ears.
It doesn't exactly calm you down. No, that's true.
Because Gary Patterson, even as a guy who pretends to wear a Hawaiian shirt and play a guitar, is the least chill, is the least chill barroom guitarist in the history of the world. It's just his nature. Yeah. So I think that Sonny Dykes, who saves his intensity for essentially yelling at referees.
Right.
All the rest of it is, a relaxed guy.
It was a good mix.
Yeah.
But Max,
I think he helped bring Max down to that, harness that power and use it for good, as opposed to just hey, go give 110%. And then when he comes back, give 110%. You're well, maybe 100.
Right. we can scale it back.
We can scale it back.
No, but Max was great. He always was just really high on the intangible stuff. It's fun to watch him play.
Okay. You're a firefighter. You've probably seen me ask Chris this question.
I have.
Okay. You're a firefighter. In one room by himself is Max Duggan.
Okay.
In the other room is LaDainian Tomlinson, TCU legend.
Oh, wow.
And the entire cast of Ocean's 11. That means Clooney, Pitt, Andy Garcia, Don Cheadle, Elliot Gould, Julia Roberts, Scott Kahn. You can only go in one door and save one room. Are you saving Max Duggan by himself, or LaDainian Tomlinson
And the entire cast
and
of
the
Ocean's
entire
11.
cast of Ocean's 11.
Wow. What a tough predicament. I feel like I could go to Max and just explain the situation to him, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I get it." He'd be like, "I love you, man."
You're on your way. Like, you can fight your way out of this building if you want.
But have you ever had dinner with LT and Julia Roberts? Does that sound like a good time to you?
Yeah.
And he might be like, "Who are those people?" Because he's like 22 years old, but he would know LT.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I'd save the cast of Ocean's 11 because what if they want to do Ocean's 14?
Yeah.
I can't.
I mean,
keep
lot of
that
them
from
are
the
dead
people.
now, but
Yeah, that was a downer, but okay.
Yeah.
I'll go that route though.
Yeah. Okay. Good deal. All right. Yeah, because like Bernie Mac and Carl Reiner not with us anymore. So I say a lot. That's two. But two key pieces to the puzzle, for sure. Okay. What is a product that you would be the perfect pitch man for?
Like a product, like a household product, or just anything?
Something like anything. Like, what are you, like, it could be, look, we could try to get you some, like, we get some advertising dollars here. If there's a company that you really, stand for, let's.
Yeah. I mean, like, my first thought was just food.
Food?
Just like, just.
Like a specific thing. Like, mine, like I told Chris last week, would be bidets and Japanese toilets. I think they're going to change the world if people can get on board. Believe me, I have them at all 3 bathrooms in my house. So they need to be in hotels. I don't know why they're not. Let's get this done.
I would be perfect for, I don't even know how
Chris
to
was chips and salsa, even picked out a couple brands.
Oh, chips and salsa. Yeah, that's good. I'd just say like ice cream, but not even, I mean, people talk about Bluebell like it saved their life all the time. And like Bluebell's fine. It's ice cream, right? It's good. But I think even just like HEB, Creamy Creations
that they
brand
have is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go that route.
Yeah.
Just ice cream in general.
You a gelato guy?
No, not really. I'm also not a frozen yogurt person.
Okay.
It's just like.
So you would be out there, like if there was a lobby.
Yeah.
Like you would be like, listen, this frozen yogurt places have gotten too
like
prevalent.
You don't
Let's go back to real old school ice cream.
You don't want fake ice cream with gummy bears on it. You're not 4 years old. Like just go get ice cream, real ice cream.
It's got to be scooped.
Yes.
Not
in a waffle cone.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, okay, that's good. Like if you're, I'll alert the ice cream lobby. I'm sure they're huge. Yeah. I'm sure that there's
a product that nobody wants to promote.
Yeah, they're probably huge because they get all this free ice cream. They're just a bunch of really
just large people.
Yeah. Calling up like, you guys, frozen yogurt's bad. So, I know. Okay. Which college football venue that you have not been to would you love to experience?
There's a lot because I haven't been to a ton of road environments. I would like to go to LSU. I'll go with Garrett. We'll have a good time there.
Yeah.
I remember LSU played TCU at Cowboy Stadium when I was in school, and I was just shocked at how like immediately antagonistic those people were. Like you would walk in an LSU tailgate, you wouldn't even say anything, and they would immediately just start yelling Tiger Bait at you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I haven't done anything.
You wore that shirt.
I'm just wearing a different shade of purple.
Yeah.
No. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're like, what do you mean you didn't do anything? You're the one who came into your LSU. I went one time, and it's like simultaneously friendly and enemy territory at the same time. Like, how dare you wear that shirt? Would you like some of this food? Here, have a drink.
Was it a Florida State game, or were you just there watching it?
I just went to a random LSU game with my dad. A friend of his had, and they were playing. They were playing like Southeast Louisiana at the time. It was one of those things like, hey, we can go, and I was like, yeah, sure, let's go. And it was FSU's bye week, as a matter of fact, and so we met. I met him in Baton Rouge, and we went, and it was like walking around. I was just wearing neutral. I wasn't even wearing FSU stuff. I was just wearing a shirt.
You're just a human existing.
Just a guy walking around, and people like, hey, F you, buddy. And they're like, oh, hey, come on over here. Have some of this.
Gumbo.
This punch right here is really good. It's going to want to make you take your shoes off like right away.
Yeah.
It's so strong. But, like that was, it's so weird. It is. It is a crazy place. Look, and as much as as an FSU fan, I'll tell you, I've been at Clemson one time, and Clemson wasn't quite that good. It's Tommy Bowden era. They were good. Great atmosphere there. Florida has a great atmosphere.
I'm proud of you for saying that.
Oklahoma's great. There's a lot of really great ones.
There's good ones, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just all around the country too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really, there's no other sport like it where you can go just about anywhere and find pockets of really passionate fan bases.
Yeah, and I've got to experience a lot of them. I was not disappointed in Tuscaloosa. The game I went to, A&M got just absolutely boat raced, and I was with 2 Aggies and my mom. My uncle, my dad, my mom, and it was just the most depressing day ever.
Yeah.
But they were so good. It was like they were just bored. They're like, oh,
Another regular season game.
we're full now.
Yeah, we gotta do this again.
Please bring something more satisfying. That was. I'm sorry, Texas A&M. I know you beat us a year ago, but
Right.
that was undercooked.
Yeah.
So it was that was kind of the attitude I got. Now, granted, if it was LSU or Tennessee or somebody, I'm sure that no matter what, they're ravenous. But
Yeah.
that's one. All right, I was trying not to go to the phone, but I got to go to
Oh,
the
no,
list
that's
of
fine.
questions. I got to go to the list of questions here. Okay.
The suspense makes it better.
Okay. UFOs, ghosts, or Bigfoot? Which one do you hope is real?
I'd say Bigfoot, just because I feel like he'd probably be pretty chill about it.
Not all on your face like a ghost.
Yeah, I mean, ghosts, I think they're just naturally going to haunt people.
Here's the thing. If Bigfoot's real, I don't have to help him cross over to the other side.
That's true.
I just have to leave him alone.
Yeah, just stay out of his face.
Yeah. A ghost is haunting me. The only way for me to get rid of it is to
Right.
Find his hidden dead body or who killed him or,
Yeah.
take
It's like
some sort of amulet to the top of a mountain. I don't know.
Right. It's like when you see a video of somebody getting attacked by a bear and you're like, why are you in the bear's space? Just leave.
Yeah.
Just leave. I think
when you're camping and a bear attacks you, you broke into his house.
you're in
You
his
didn't
house.
break
Yeah.
into yours.
He's not at your condo.
Yeah, he didn't go. It's not like when those really scary videos of bears walking into people's houses while they're gone. That would terrify me. That's when the bear's wrong. But when you've built a fire in his living room, you're probably
Right.
and then you brought him food, which you didn't share with him. So now,
Yeah, I think the alien thing would just even if the aliens were cool, which also again, all the movies are the aliens are going to take over, but we don't know. Maybe they just want to hang out. But I feel
have you ever thought that they've come here and been like, no,
yeah,
no, we don't.
yeah, we got better technology.
But they go back and they're like, what'd you guys think of Earth? They're like, 0 stars.
Those people must be depressed.
0 stars. They really just they get
Yeah.
so excited about the dumbest things.
Right. I think just the existence of aliens would shake me a lot more. Just my general outlook on life. Bigfoot would kind of be like, yeah, I could see just a big hairy person
Yeah.
living somewhere. That would make more sense to me.
What if they came in 2020 and we're like, this is the time we're going to be there, and they're like, hey, everybody's sick and they're watching this show called Tiger King, and we don't want a part of it. Yeah. We don't what's Tiger King? You don't want to know. You don't really want to know at all. All right. Well, I'm going to take you off the hot seat because I really want to talk about Dabo Swinney.
Okay.
That's coming up next. This is the Triple Option of 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable. so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
Welcome back into the Triple Option. Paul Catalina, Stephen Simcox, locked on TCU, and you can listen to his podcast. Was it 5 days a week?
5 days a week.
5 days a week. So 30 minutes, right?
That's where they want me to keep it.
Yeah, 30 minutes.
30 minutes is the target.
Good deal. Okay. So, go listen to that every week, locked on TCU. All right, Stephen, I did want to talk about Dabo Swinney.
Okay. There's
a lot of it, like The Athletic wrote an article. Like, there's been articles all over the place. I know Carl Auerbach, really great article about him today. And his refusal to embrace the transfer portal. So in 3 years, he has lost 32 players to the transfer portal. And he hasn't lost some of the guys that other schools have lost. Like, he hasn't lost to Justin Fields or anything. But he has lost 32 guys. He has taken in 3 guys, all grad transfers, all backups, 2 backup quarterbacks, Hunter Johnson, Paul Tyson, backup quarterbacks, and then 1 guy who's a wide receiver. And he wants to keep building through high school. Well, when Duke absolutely beat you to a stump, and they, with their academic standards, had 8 transfer starters, don't you think he maybe needs to get on board?
Yeah, it feels like Dabo is holding himself to a rule that no one has imposed on him.
Yeah.
He just got like this weird, conviction about it. It's like sometimes my son, when he gets in trouble, he'll like try to add on punishments. I think he's just trying to like make us feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
But we'll be like, all right, you got to go to your room for however long. And he's like, well, I'm not going to eat dinner. And we're like, okay, well, nobody said that. But if you don't want to eat dinner, that's fine. Like we're not going to do that. But Dabo, I mean, he's got this useful tool in front of him. Clemson seems like the place that would really thrive in this environment. And I'm sure a lot of it is, he's definitely a big culture guy. Most college coaches are. But you know what kills culture faster than anything? Losing games.
Yeah.
Like, the teams that lose are the teams we hear about that are falling apart and not committed and not doing what they're supposed to do. And so don't let this be the hill that you die on.
Yeah.
But it seems philosophical. I mean, we've seen like other coaches kind of come to a crossroads like this. We saw it with Nick Saban before he sort of finally opened up that offense and started recruiting, big name quarterbacks. But that was more of a X's and O's type thing. This seems like a true belief that he has. And I don't know how to get him off of that, but Clemson still has a defense that's good enough to win a lot of games, but at some point you got to start getting some more playmakers there.
Yeah. Dogmas are tricky, right? I mean, like they can work for you for a little while, but eventually you hit a wall.
Right.
And that's why you can't maybe be so rigid on things. Yeah. And look, and he's going to get ridiculed for this for the rest of his life, but when he was asked this summer about the name, image, and likeness, and he's like, we're built in God's name, image, and likeness. How about that? Like, look, I'm a man of faith. Stephen, I know you are.
Yeah.
But I will also tell Dabo this. I've been in God's house a bunch of times, and even he passes the plate, buddy. So you might want to embrace it a little bit more than...
Well, and there was a time when, like, Dabo was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, his demeanor and personality, and I remember that after that Notre Dame win when he went on this little rant about like you got to bring your own guts, right? And it was like, oh, Dabo's like this fun kind of country guy, and yeah, he's definitely got the faith aspect of it, but he just seemed like the type of dude that would probably invite you to watch the movie Facing the Giants, and that would be about like the extent of it. But now it's much more kind of celebrity pastor, which is always a tricky thing to balance because it can automatically just turn people off. That quote was strange. He's had a lot of those lately where he's just kind of pontificating on the state of the world. And I think somebody needs to be like, save that for, why don't you start a podcast or something that you can just send to a few friends. Let's not go to the podium and always just break these things out. Let's leave that in house.
Even Mike Gundy has embraced it.
Yeah.
And I thought Mike Gundy would be one of the first that's like, look, I don't
want to do this.
I don't want to do this. But he's embraced it. He's become very practical about it. And Dabo he has this thing, like, sometimes I think coaches believe in, like, we built it the right way. Okay.
They don't give you a bigger championship trophy for that.
No. The only wrong way to do it, honestly, is
to lose.
And there's not rules anymore that you're necessarily breaking.
Right.
Now, look, if you compromise your character and the character of your team and your principles to do it, that's the wrong way. Like when you're like, well, I don't care what these kids do, just go win football games. That's the wrong way. That's been done through sports all over the place. Like, let's look the other way just as long as they're winning,
But then you can just get one of those like propaganda Netflix documentaries where you just
absolutely
where you just go like, oh yeah, it was Urban Meyer talking about his kids working out on a Friday night. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, and then they're like, well, what about these things? Yes, they have. Some of them happened. But you know what? Dedication.
Have you talked to Tim? Have you talked to Tebow?
Yeah. Talk to these guys who completely bought into my propaganda. But no, I think Dabo, like, he's running that course. And I thought bringing in Garrett Riley was a huge departure for him because the last time he did that was Brent Venables, and he won national titles because of it.
Yeah.
I thought Garrett Riley, and it could still turn out that way, but they couldn't separate from Duke.
No, they don't have
playmakers. And the team that they have to be most scared about, and this might also be a little bit of ego on his part, is Florida State. And that was a school he always, like, even in their worst, it's the school he had to be most scared about because if they ever figured it out again,
they could compete.
Look, since Florida State joined the conference, Clemson had been second fiddle until Dabo flipped the script.
Right.
Well, don't think that they're not trying to flip it back on you. There's two teams that have relevance in that conference, and I'm not knocking anybody else. That's the fact. Over the last 30 years, they've won it the most.
Well, and you also wonder if that might be the thing that puts a fire under them because, I guess the flip side of being the ACC, they've had an easy path for the past few years, but they also haven't had somebody pushing them. Like Ohio State now has Michigan that is pushing them.
Taking
over them, honestly. Yeah. Alabama has always had a foil in the SEC. Now it's Georgia who's overtaken them, and they're trying to get back. But at times it was LSU or Auburn or wherever the case may be. And so maybe this is it. Maybe Florida State getting back to where they were is what is the push Dabo needs to say, okay, nobody's watching how I'm doing this. Or they don't care. Like, if I bring in a bunch of transfers, nobody's going to think that we've given up our values. Like, we can still do this at a high level and be fine.
Yeah, and he wants to, like, the culture is a great thing, except you can also find guys who fit that culture if you try.
Yeah.
Like, clearly you're not even trying to do it. So you can't say, well, I worry about this. Well, you're not, like, Paul Tyson's not going to help you win one single game.
Right.
Not one. And so now you have to explain to all these people, like, hey, just 4 years ago, you were one of the teams. And now the rules changed and you're mad about them? Well, you think that it's the wrong way? Like, that's something he's got to get over because he's, in my opinion, a way better coach than that.
You have to adapt. Like, you can not like what the situation is, but everybody that's having success is playing with the rules now.
Do what Nick Saban does. You can pontificate about it.
Sure, but you're still going to do it.
But you still do it. And basically what Nick Saban says is like, look, guys, I have all the tools possible at my disposal. I'm the head coach at Alabama. He won't say it out loud because he's not that kind of guy, but I'm the greatest college football coach that's ever college football coached. So if you want to give me these advantages, I will use them. But I'm warning you, it's not going to work out how you think it is.
Right.
Because it's just going to work for me. So, that's what he does. I don't like the rule, but you know what? Jermaine Burton wants to come here. I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to let my guys leave. Just be able, I didn't play for my first 2 years, and then not have the same, like, a better guy be like, I was playing at LSU, but I'd rather play at Alabama, so I'm just going to go there. Those things can happen. And, I don't like that I have to, players are going to ask me for money now, but I've got guys who are willing to give it to them. So if Bryce Young's going to make $1 million from Dr. Pepper, who am I to stand in his way? I'm making 12. So
Yeah, I mean, don't put restrictions on you that don't exist.
yeah,
If you're Dabo.
You know, I know that he was playing San Jose State and it's different, but DJU on Saturday
Looked good.
like he didn't have that kind of freedom there at Clemson, and it might be because the tire you squeeze without changing.
Yeah, there's just too much there. And if you're not going to have Trevor Lawrence, then you got to find a way to make some other guys work.
Well, and look, Cade Klubnik might be Trevor Lawrence again, except for the fact that Trevor Lawrence had T. Higgins.
Right.
Trevor Lawrence had
Travis Etienne.
Yeah, Travis Etienne. So like he had those guys. Cade Klubnik has Will Shipley. Will Shipley's great, but
you can't build the whole plane out of Will Shipley.
You can't just be like, all right, well, go ahead. Like, please, get us out of this situation.
Right.
Eventually, they're going to be like, well, we got to stop Shipley.
And then think, what's your counter move?
Yeah, like, okay, we stopped Shipley. What's your second thing? So, Stephen, this has been fun.
I'd
like
Paul.
to extend you an offer to be a semi-regular Wednesday host.
All right.
When it fits into your schedule.
I'll talk to my agent, Garrett.
Yeah, talk to your agent, Garrett. Talk to your direct supervisor who is here on Mondays. But yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I missed seeing you every day anyway. I think, we had some, this is not this for the podcast. We had some times.
We did.
We had some times.
Yeah.
We had some time. So, and again, listen to Steven's podcast and support him that way.
Please do.
Support him by watching this over and over and over again. If you're a Stephen Simcox fan, just watch this on a loop.
Just refresh it every 5 seconds.
Just every time the thing ends, start it again. Like Steven's kids and their favorite Disney movie, I'm sure.
Or Bluey, yeah.
Oh, Bluey?
Bluey, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't have kids, but I've heard of Bluey.
Good stuff.
It's good.
It's okay.
Do you wonder what's going to happen, like episodes of Succession on Bluey next?
No, it's not quite that. Variety's not writing recaps after every episode.
What happened on Bluey? No. Here's the Bluey episodes you need to see before next season.
Yeah.
Those kind of things.
There's not many M. Night Shyamalan twists.
No, there's not. Okay, good deal. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Jack McKenzie, Garrett Ross. We're back in tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.